Alfie lived in the city with his mum and dad and his little sister Annie Rose. Right across the street lived their good friends, the McNallys. There was Bob and Jean McNally, their daughter Maureen, and their old cat Smoky. Every morning when Maureen set off to school and Bob McNally went to catch his bus to work, they waved to Alfie and Annie Rose. And Alfie and Annie Rose waved back. Smoky was always there to see them off, and on fine evenings he would sit on the wall for a long time waiting for them to come back. Alfie's cat Jessie and Smoky were not good friends. They eyed each other suspiciously from opposite sides of the street. But Bob McNally told Alfie that Smoky was getting too old to pick fights. The McNallys were all very fond of Smoky, but Bob and he were special friends. When Bob came home from work, he always stopped for a chat with Smoky. Once, when Smoky was frightened up a tree and got stuck, Bob spent a whole afternoon trying to coax him down. "It's his back legs, you see," Bob told Alfie. "I'm afraid he's not as young as he used to be." Smoky spent most of his day asleep in his favourite place by the kitchen radiator, or dozing in a patch of sunlight. But in the evenings he would jump onto Bob McNally's lap, and they would watch television together. Smoky never wanted to play. When Alfie was visiting the McNallys, he would try pulling a piece of string across the floor and twitching the end, hoping that Smoky would chase after it. But Smoky only opened one slit of an eye, cocked his ears half-heartedly, and went back to sleep. If Alfie picked Smoky up, he would make bad-tempered noises, which meant he wanted to be left alone. Smoky just wanted to sleep and sleep. One morning, Maureen came over to Alfie's house before breakfast. She was very sad. She told them that Smoky had died in the night. "He was nearly as old as I am," Maureen told them tearfully, "and that's pretty old for a cat." Alfie was sad about Smoky being dead. "We won't see him again, will we?" he said to Mum. "Why did Smoky have to be dead?" he wanted to know. "Well, he was very old and tired, and he had come to the end of his life," said Mum. "But it was a happy life, and we'll all remember him fondly." Smoky was buried under a bush in the McNallys' back garden. Maureen had made a memorial for him in her woodwork class at school. Alfie helped her to put it up. She had written on it, in beautiful writing, "In memory of Smoky, a good friend." They all cried over it, and then they began to feel better, all except Bob. Smoky had been his special friend, and he missed him a lot, especially in the evenings when he came home from work, and there was no Smoky waiting for him on the garden wall. "It's Dad's birthday next week," Maureen told Mum and Alfie when she was sitting in their kitchen at tea time. "He'll be 52, and he says he doesn't want any presents at all, not even any cards." "Not even balloons?" asked Alfie. "No, nothing. He really is fed up," said Maureen gloomily, "and Mum says she doesn't know what to do to cheer him up." "He's missing Smoky, I expect," said Mum. Then Alfie said, "Let's make a party for him." Everyone thought that was a wonderful idea, but they decided to keep it a secret until the day came. A surprise birthday party for Bob McNally. "When we go shopping, you can choose a present for him," Mum told Alfie. They looked at a great many things until they decided on a smart pair of red socks, Alfie's favourite colour. Mum bought a box of mint chocolates and some pretty wrapping paper. The party was such a big secret that Jean McNally came over to Alfie's house specially to make the birthday cake in their kitchen. Alfie helped her to put on the candles, 5 blue ones and 2 pink ones. The day before the surprise party, all Bob's presents were ready. Jean had knitted him a sweater. Mum and Dad had bought him a pot plant, and Annie Rose was giving him a jug with a picture of the sun, moon, and stars on it. "What's your present?" Alfie asked Maureen, but she just looked mysterious, and said she wasn't telling, not yet. "I'll let you know this evening," she promised. Annie Rose was already asleep, and Alfie was in his dressing gown, having a story, when Maureen rang the doorbell. She was carrying a basket tied up with string. "Is that the present?" asked Alfie, very excited. "Yes, you can see inside if you like," said Maureen. She put the basket down carefully in the middle of the floor and undid the string. Then she lifted the lid just a tiny bit. Alfie looked inside. It was something alive. He saw 2 very bright eyes and a pink nose with white whiskers. Then a soft paw shot out and patted his finger. "Oh, Maureen, it's a kitten," said Mum. "I got him from a friend at school," said Maureen, beaming. "Will you look after him till tomorrow? It's got to be a real surprise." "Oh, yes," shouted Alfie. Mum said that they could, as it was just for the one night. "But we'll have to be careful that Jessie doesn't meet him, or she might be jealous," she told Alfie. "The kitten can sleep in my room," said Alfie. That night Alfie and the kitten settled down together, or tried to settle down. It wasn't very easy because the kitten kept patting the edge of Alfie's quilt and trying to climb up it. Then he got onto the bed and started a game of hide-and-seek. At last he curled up and went to sleep. Alfie loved feeling him at the end of his bed, but he would not have wanted him there every night. The next day, after Bob had gone to work, they were very busy going to and fro across the street and getting the party ready. Alfie and Maureen fed the kitten and put him in his basket. They hid him in the little room where the McNallys kept their washing machine. At first the kitten did not like being in there. "Don't worry, it won't be for long," whispered Alfie. Soon the kitten stopped scratching and was quiet. At 6 o'clock everything was ready. They put out the lights and waited in the dark. At last they heard Bob coming up the front steps. They all kept as quiet as mice, even Annie Rose. Alfie was so excited he had to cling on to Dad's hand as Bob opened the front door. "Hello, I'm home," he called. Silence. Then he walked into the sitting room. On went the lights, and they all burst out singing, "Happy birthday to you." At first Bob was so surprised he just stood there with his eyes and mouth wide open. Then he began to smile. He was very pleased with his birthday tea and his presents. He opened them all, one by one. Best of all was when Maureen, helped by Alfie, brought in the basket. Bob untied the string, and out jumped the kitten. Right away he started a game with Bob's shoelaces. Bob McNally called the kitten Boots. Boots was wonderfully good at inventing games. When Alfie pulled a piece of screwed-up paper across the floor, Boots lay in wait for it and then pounced. He tossed it in the air and bicycled on it furiously with his little back legs. Alfie showed Annie Rose how to play with Boots, and how not to squeeze him too hard. Boots soon settled down as one of the McNally family, and Bob grew very fond of him, though of course they never forgot dear old Smoky. Alfie and Boots became great friends. Alfie was quite sure that Boots remembered how once, before the McNallys' surprise birthday party, he had slept a whole night on the end of Alfie's bed. Do you like cats and kittens? I do. I had one called Bismarck, and he was my best friend. In the morning he would get into bed with me, and then go under the covers right down to the end. I think he liked my feet. Bye-bye.